So yeah, welcome back to my channel. Let's just put it out there. So I sort of been debating whether I wanted to even make a video during this time because I know that most of the world, not most of the world, most of the Western part of the world has been put in sort of containment, shutdown mode because of the coronavirus, the COVID-19. And I do recognize that this is sort of a difficult time for everyone. And so it's not really maybe a good time to be talking about toxic people and things like that. But I think this is probably the best time to sort of reflect and regroup, and sort of consider again our tactics for protecting ourselves and protecting our mind and our emotions and our future from all types of people and all sorts of manipulation from all areas. And that's why I entitled this podcast Reclaiming the Power of No, because really this is everyday life. This is how we negotiate with people. This is how we negotiate with our environment. We have the power to say no to certain things, to certain information, to certain environments, certain conversations. And if you saw, I made a podcast last week about basically turning off and refusing all sources of gaslighting and behavioral manipulation, specifically in the mainstream media. And this is like the golden time to talk about that, because that's exactly what has really made everyone so hysterical with fear. Everyone is so wrought with fear because the mainstream media has completely, I wouldn't say overblown, but that's sort of the first word that came to my mind, overblown this whole virus situation. Not that it's not a serious thing, but it just doesn't add up. And so the reason why I'm saying it doesn't add up, because I'm going to talk about the gut feeling. We should stop ignoring our gut. Just because everyone around us is saying something doesn't mean that you need to just fall in line. Doesn't mean that you're wrong. If your gut is telling you something, it's because you need to pay attention. So just a quick update for you guys who don't know about me. I am currently living in France. I've been living in France for almost a year now. And I came from the United States. So I don't think I've ever been more proud to be an American, but this is sort of like, this is my time of rediscovering my life after all the things that I had suffered being in my narcissistic home with a whole lots of toxic people, toxic relationships, and all of that. And so this was part of my distancing myself from all of that I came from. And so right now I have been sort of shut in from everything because, and actually all of France, if you've been paying attention, most of the countries in the EU have sort of shut down. Not as in like you can't, basically you can't leave or come in. That's basically it. And the people who live here, we have to have a form to attest to where we're going to be authorized to go to leave our home. So you have to have a form to be able to go shopping for your groceries. You have to have a form to be able to go to work. You have to have a form to be able to get on the metro or any of the public transportation. You have to have a form to go to the doctor. You have to have all these things. And then if you don't, they will fine you. I think it's a small amount, but that's, all these fines that France has is like insane. So they just all add up, and it's good not to be stopped at all. So basically, that's my situation. All my family's in the United States, and yes, I am worried about them, but for the most part, they're okay. It's better to be confined in somewhere like the United States than it is in Europe. I'm just saying, for many different reasons. Access, to many different resources that aren't government funded, that are, locally and privately funded. Things like that are really helpful at this time. So, but anyway, just getting back to this topic of the power, reclaiming the power of no, just for an example, just a little simple mental exercise. Think about the last time a toxic person or a person who simply did not respect you or respect your boundaries, respect your position in life. Think back to the last time that type of person in your life pulled one over on you. And when I say pull one over, I just mean that they basically they tripped you up. There was a sort of stumbling because you believed something that they were saying or doing. Like they lied to you. They projected their insecurities onto you. They made you believe that you're the problem. They made you believe in their phony apologies and excuses, etc. The moment that those words left their mouth, or the moment that those actions were completed, something physical happened in your body. Can you remember what it was or what it felt like? Take a moment to reflect on that. What happened? What did you feel in that moment? What were you thinking? Because my last podcast, like I was saying, I was talking about basically turning off and refusing all sources of gaslighting and behavioral manipulation. But I'd like to continue that thought by telling you how to do it. I told you what the source is and why that's the source of manipulation. Now let's talk about how you can fight against all of that and avoid it and flee from it. And this is the key thing that we have to remember is that we have a gut. Actually, we have 3 types of guts, and I'll get into that. But your gut feeling that you felt in those moments where someone was trying to convince you of something, or there was just something that wasn't right. There was some malintent that was hidden in what they were saying or in their behavior or in their air or while they were standing around you. This was a subliminal messaging received by the subconscious, and it was reacted to by the nervous system. And then oftentimes we feel it physically via the vagus nerve. This is the nerve that connects from your brain down your spinal column all the way to your GI tract or your gut. In layman's terms, it is your intuition or your inner warning that something is wrong, that something is off, or something needs attention ASAP. The feeling is influenced, and watch this, this feeling is influenced and sharpened by how much you know about a given person or topic. If you don't know about narcissism, perfect example, because we are all, dealing with toxic people, and the toxic person of the day for the past, couple decades has been narcissists. If you don't know anything about narcissism and you come across a narcissist, there's only a dull feeling that you'll get, a dull warning in your gut that will tell you they're lying to you or that they have malintent. It'll be very dull, but the more you know about narcissism, the more you, like I was saying in my last podcast, the more that you are diving into this topic about personality disorders and how people deal and cope with childhood trauma, and how people become predators in social interactions, and how they are raised to sort of never feel empathetic for anybody else. If you are diving into this topic and other topics related, then that feeling will become so strong. It'll become so strong that the next person who tries to pull one over on you, you'll know it and you'll call it out or you'll run from it. So the reason why you get this feeling is because something in the energetic or physical or spiritual environment has changed. Whether you realize it or not, everything in the tangible realm responds to something in the non-tangible realm, like negative energies, like evil, like malintent. In one way or another, your body is responding in flight mode. And we all understand fight or flight. Whether our nervous system reacts in way of fighting, as in taking control of the situation, of the confrontation, or it responds in flight, which means to avoid, to run away, to shut into oneself. With lies always comes malintent. People don't just lie for no reason. Sometimes people lie to protect themselves. Sometimes people lie to protect their malintent, to protect their hidden intentions, to protect the fact that they want you to do something that is against your interests. So your body is always warning you. If you heed that warning, your body is always warning you to flee, even if you don't understand why. So here are 3 types of guts that I want to talk about today. So the first one is probably the most superficial. This is the mental gut. And these are my terms, by the way. I just sort of, threw them together because this is my observation. This is not exhaustive. You probably have more information, and please do comment down below if you can relate to any of these feelings. The mental gut is something that happens in the more of the mind, more in the psyche, the conscious mind. You're gathering information consciously, and something just doesn't quite add up logically. This happens more with people who are logical and more concrete, present based, who think more linear. So they trip on errors in people's words, but yet they don't understand maybe the thought behind it. So these are the most susceptible to gaslighting because they second guess themselves in favor of trying to fill in the blanks. They're so busy trying to fill in the blanks, they forget that there's something behind that. Then you have the intuitive gut. It's just a little bit deep. It's actually much deeper. The intuition is a part of the unconscious mind. It is a strong sense within, and it's even stronger, I would say, if you know anything about HSPs, highly sensitive people. There's a scientific study I was just reading about couple weeks ago about how the nervous system in an HSP reacts in a stronger way, and I would say based on the diagram, the part of the brain lights up much more when it comes to making connections. So highly sensitive people, their brain lights up much more when it comes to creating connections with people and with information. And it's also the brain responds quicker and longer to stimuli. So as the mind is constantly gathering and storing up information, the intuition acts as a warning system when new information doesn't match up with past information. For example, when you're, say you're talking to someone and you're like, and something in the back of your mind is like, wait, I've been here before. I've heard that before. Like someone says a phrase and you're like, usually when people say stuff like this, they don't know what they're talking about, or they have some malintent, or where you're interacting with a certain environment. You're like, I've seen this before. Like your gut is just saying like, maybe this is not the place to be. Then you have what I would say for those of us who are Christian like myself, there's the spiritual gut, which is the most profound, the most accurate and deepest form of gut that we can ever have, because the scope is much larger than just what we understand. There's a God giving us this information. We are filtering through the information of the world through this spiritual gut. So something way more profound in our being is our spirit. We do have a spirit, a human spirit. And I'll put some verses from the Bible that in the description box that will talk about more about the functions of the spirit. But it's one of the functions of the human spirit to be able to discern, not just right from wrong. That's more of our conscience, where we maybe will feel wrong about a certain something that we've done, even though maybe we don't know necessarily that it's wrong, or maybe we do know that it's wrong and we feel convicted about it. But to God, this is a way of to divide our spirit and our flesh, yes and no. This is a way of telling us to go or to stop. This leads us always back to God, leads us always in the direction of not just right and wrong, but of what does God want. So, for example, the reason why I don't listen to a lot of news, and the reason why in my last podcast I was telling you guys about shutting off the news and shutting off your notifications, is because most of the information, whenever I watch the news, it gets filtered through all three of these guts. You have the mental gut, you have the intuitive gut, and the spiritual gut. And all three are going off when I'm watching the news. No matter what channel it is, no matter what source it is, whether it's mainstream or alternative or newspaper or radio, podcast, whatever the case may be, I get all sorts of warnings. Sometimes, very rarely, does it have a view where I agree with, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand. And that makes me feel like there's some accuracy there. But these gut feelings in me get strengthened because I do a lot of research. And I don't just take things at face value. And I don't just trust everyone who speaks behind a mic or in front of a camera. I do my research. And most of the time, I find that there's some sort of intent that I don't agree with. Maybe the information is accurate, but the intention behind it is evil or is destructive or is not in line with what I believe. So literally, we get our news in every aspect of our life. It invades our homes in one way or another. So don't give the news or politics an open door by turning on the TV or checking your notifications. This is the power of saying no to every sort of manipulation. It's just by turning it off. If someone calls you and you know that when they call you, they always want something, don't answer. If your friend wants to hang out and you know that every time they want to hang out, they want you to buy him a beer, don't hang out with them that often. I mean, you're not obligated to listen. I mean, honestly, you're not obligated to be nice. You're not obligated to give the media and give all sorts of news your time and your energy to sort of sort through all the hysteria. You don't have to do that. You're not obligated to do that. I watch minimal news on strict controlled sources because, I mean, every time I listen or watch a certain mainstream media news channels, my gut just tells me to turn it off. Sometimes the facts don't add up, or sometimes it's the malintent, or other times it simply leads me out of the realm of peace, which refers to the spiritual gut. So this is how we conduct ourselves as people who have experienced some sort of abuse, whether it be verbal, emotional, psychological, physical, sometimes even sexual. We have the power. We need to be the ones to take the lead and to have the power, reclaim our power of saying no to any person, to any idea, to any ideology, to any conversation, to anything that is not with our best interests at heart. So, thank you for listening to this podcast. Let me know what you think about this topic and all the things that are going on in the media right now and all the hysteria, and really just everything is sort of the attempt of to dumb down our ability to say no to information and to people who don't want our best interests, who are looking after their own interests. And so let me know what you think about this. Obviously, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you don't know my content, I have many different playlists that you can binge watch during this time because, yeah, we have a lot of free time, don't we? And so, yeah, let me know your experience with the whole coronavirus down below also, because that will be interesting to know. And if you have any other topics you'd like me to cover, you can definitely leave that down below as well. Check out my description box where you can find out where I have my podcasts, where I have my website with my blogs that I try to post weekly. And if you have any questions, you can ask me through the Wix app where I have my channel and I have all of my blogs and all the information of where you can purchase coffee consultations, you can purchase group or personal coffee consultations, and all the information about me and this community that you can get. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.